Judge Boyd, you're on the hot seat, sir.
Pretty used to it, I know.
I have passed out the resolution that we've tried to present a couple of different times. I didn't change any wording on the resolution at all from the last amended version. This really doesn't have much bearing on what we're trying to do. It's the attachment and the amendment for what we're trying to do. I've attached the one that we originally approved, the wording that we originally approved, which was asking the state legislature to amend the private act to allow us to make that position full-time. The second page of the attachments is as amended for the February meeting, where we tabled that because and Judge Boyd made a good point. He can't base his life on what we're gonna change to.
Thought you were gone.
Then the back one is one that's suggested, and basically there was some question on that started on the originally approved one that the wording was shall hold court as many days per week as deemed necessary, and several of y'all weren't comfortable with that because it really didn't specify how many days. So I changed that section 7 wording to say serve on a full-time 5 days per week basis and shall hold court as many days per week as deemed necessary to cover the caseload of juvenile court. So it makes it a 5-day position and up to the position holder to decide how many days they're going to hold court, which probably would end up being 5 the way.
Be at the minimum 4,
Okay.
due to the fact that Friday would more likely, there, on Fridays, our foster care review board, it's a board set up that reviews cases of children that are in foster care, the action steps, progress, etc. That would more likely than not be what I would refer to as an administrative day. Now, again, there's always potential for detention hearings, 3-day hearings on emergency custody petitions, or any other special setting. For instance, I used yesterday as a special setting on a termination of parental rights case. It was a Wednesday.
Yesterday, being Wednesday. And I'm gonna let you explain this further, but Daniel's hands are tied in a lot of situations because the state dictates how quickly you have to see a juvenile, and you can't just say, I'm gonna have whole court Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, okay. And stick to that. He's kind of bound by what the state tells him to do in a lot of situations. And Commissioner Fields.
Before we turn it over to Judge Boyd, hey, Danny, you good, bud? On all these resolutions and all this wording we've typed up, and you may have seen this, and it may just be something that I'm thinking, but all the wording in all of them is juvenile judge shall not be allowed to participate in practice of law in any other court within the court system, and shall be prohibited from performing any services in any of such courts.
That's the state.
So that's the state, that's not us. So does that mean you have to give your law practice to what? If you don't win, if you don't seek re-election, or if you do and you didn't win, are you starting back over from, what's it do to you? I don't know.
It would, I guess it depends. There are a couple ways I can answer that question. If the commission approves this and it makes, and this position becomes full-time January 1, just for easy purposes, and I don't seek re-election or I'm defeated, okay, number one, if it's full-time, I shut my law practice down. And my efforts are devoted strictly to the juvenile court system. If I don't seek re-election or I'm defeated, which is part of it, I understand that this opens the door for more competition. And I'm, again, I want to reiterate, I'm doing it for me because I'm the position holder. I'm doing it for potentially any future candidate.
As you explained before, you're doing it for the position.
The position. I'm
You
doing
know
it.
that the load is there, that
It's
position
me
is-
because, you know, I am
Because you're
doing it
there.
now, but
Yeah.
it's doing it for the position.
Right.
Let me reiterate that. But anyway, I would have to shut my law practice down. I would devote 5 days a week. I would be at work 5 days a week, addressing things. And there are programs that I've looked into that I would like to implement, start looking at how to implement those, et cetera. But from that standpoint, I would shut my law practice down. If I'm defeated, I'd start my law practice down.
Yeah, you know, and with that being said, I guess the only reason I personally didn't like the wording, and it may have been I was gonna say, it may have been a personal thing, you know, if you don't win again or something, I mean, you're starting back over scratch.
And that's
Well,
with the
that's-
issue with the wording as it was proposed at the February meeting. If you all deem it necessary for it to be full-time for for 2020,
You don't have time to do it anyway.
and also all I'm doing is juvenile court work. I'm not practicing law. All I'm doing is juvenile court work. And then comes December, okay, so well, we don't think you should be full-time, you should go back to 2 days a week. Well, I had to start my law practice over, get cases coming in, and then, you know, I have cases that have been, you have cases that you can't conclude in a year. Just about any case, outside of, a very select few type of cases. Most cases take more than a year to conclude.
And in discussion with Daniel, just to kind of clarify that, the cases he has now, or at the time we would make this effective, if we make it effective, he would turn over to his dad.
I would either.
Or another
or
attorney.
another attorney if he doesn't want to tackle. That's
Yeah,
correct.
so, I mean, there's not a clean break point in there where you say, all right, everybody's done, these cases are done, and you move on, so.
I was looking at a hardship on you if something happened, the only reason I was asking the question.
Of course.
Yeah, I think that was one of the problems we kind of wrestled with, because not a person, because, I mean, I get reelected, but looking at the office, then how do we approach this? And that's the reason why we jumped this around and changed this and changed that. And so when you came before the commission, when it was there, you gave us more information, and then when Amy was there, she gave us more information.
And I've got more information even now.
Well, it gave us more than what we had, and we realized, and the thing we really wanted to know, that's a very, very important thing going on right now, where we need full-time judge sitting on it for the juveniles going on. So it took us a while to decipher this, so I just want you to.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of points that Daniel wants to make and some other folks in the audience, so.
Well,
Floor is yours, sir.
there's a whole room full of folks here, and I don't, if they want to say something, I'm glad to turn it. Let anybody
I
talk.
see Mark Skelton back there chomping at the bit.
Well, I'm habitually early to anywhere I go. I showed up here, I think, a little bit tardy, and because today's a Thursday, I'm holding court, and there's a justice center full of people up there, just so you know. And I had taken up a case I thought was going to be just addressed for reset purposes, when picking out a date, come back in the future. Lawyers getting paid by the word, got long-winded, and I got hung up a little bit, but that's okay. So anyway, I had the office pull some statistics. 2018, I disposed of 1,145 cases. 2019, these are just the juvenile court records. These are not the circuit court or the clerk of court numbers. 1,392 cases. For January and February of 2020, I have disposed of 235 cases. You average that out, that's 117 and a half cases per month. You multiply that by 12, that's 1,410 cases. Detention hearings, which, again, certain things are mandated by law that be addressed within a certain time frame. Detention hearings, if a child goes to detention, they have to be seen within 24 hours, excluding a holiday or a weekend. 2018, 157. 2019, 198. January and February of 2020, I've already had 51. So I'm already a third of where I was in 2018
In 2 months.
in 2 months. Throw on top of that, as I stated at the commission meeting, there are child support cases that are assigned to me. Some, and to be upfront, those are addressed by the child support magistrate. Now, if they are appealed, they come to me. And then they go, there's an appeal process. But for 2019, there were 1,084 child support cases handled by me administratively, that is something that I have to do. Out of these, let's just say for 2019, out of the almost 1,400 cases, you know, there are DCS workers calling me all type of days and night. Time, day, where are you? I need, got an order, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in Granger County. I'm going to have to wait, I'll find something else. Because a lot of times, these issues are pressing. They've been at my house at dinner, I've offered to cook them dinner. They've been at my house at 2 in the morning. Not to mention, living where I live, it's law enforcement officers knocking on my door quite often too. All hours of days and nights. It's not a part-time job, it's a full-time job. I'm gonna say, and I said this back in December when I was here, and I'll say it again. Anytime I go over, there's overtime or comp time for law enforcement officers that work court security, the juvenile court staff that stays over, and the clerk that works my courtroom. They don't leave until I leave. And today, it's 3:20. I still have 2 termination of parental rights cases I've got to hear, and one of the other cases still pending to be heard. I've got to go address, so 7, 8 o'clock probably tonight. And I'll say this, and I'll throw this on top of there too. Each case, majority of the time, there are CASA reports, DCS reports, therapist reports, other service provider reports. Sometimes I don't get in until I get up there, and I don't have time, look at, I get a report that's this big. I would like time to digest that, especially when I'm making a decision as it pertains to a child. Maybe a child.
And again, just to bring focus back to what this resolution actually is requesting the state legislature to amend that private act. This doesn't say that we're gonna do this. It doesn't say the money's being spent. All it does is open the way for the commission to look at this and move forward with it. I think Commissioner Fields summed that up pretty good at the last meeting.
Yeah, and I'll say it again, if we're gonna do this, yeah, 'cause that, the last meeting, I had to say that. I mean, because people needed to know, because I was getting so many phone calls, of people thinking, y'all doing this, I said, no, we're not. We're getting permission to get state out of our way, so that our county can make a decision on its own. Going back to what you mentioned, the reason I tabled this resolution at the last meeting, and I'm sorry, I should have caught that before, and I didn't think about it, and I wish I'd talked to you beforehand, Judge Boyd, but I didn't, but I see that needs to come out, the wording needs to be changed on that, needs to come out, and I'm still, a while ago, when I was talking about that wording on that, about shutting your law practice down, is that a state thing? The state says you have to do this, is that what you're saying, or is it just something we're?
Thank you. Anytime a lawyer takes a full-time judicial position, they are not allowed to practice.
Okay. I misunderstood what ago, so, yeah, okay. I understand, like I said, I was looking at it from, hardship, have to start, back over.
Well,
But I mean, it is what it is.
it would be considered a conflict of interest through the state.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's like any other position, elected position like that. If you're not elected, you gotta find something else.
You brought up the conflict of interest thing, that's something I have to address every day.
Yeah.
Even now, because I have some divorce cases, there's sometimes a dependency and neglect issue comes up. Guess where that gets referred to? Juvenile court. My father has divorce cases, guess where that gets? Or has my father ever represented you at any time? Because he's been, this month, will make 53 years of law practice. Have you ever been represented by my father?
Thankfully.
Like I said, there's a whole room full of people. If anyone would like to chime in, I'll glad to turn the floor.
Yeah, we'll take any comments that need to be made. It's trying to limit it to just a couple of minutes each, but I know we've got a good crowd here, and if anybody wants to say anything, you're welcome to.
Your employees, you ladies are working day in, 5 days a week.
We do.
Are y'all
We
getting,
We support them 100%.
are y'all having to, do y'all stay too?
One of us do, yeah.
So we're looking, you know, as of right now, the way things are going, we're paying overtime anyway.
Yep.
You know, for,
If you all will recall, when I was here in December, Mr. Buchanan informed me that I had 2 employees that were in violation of our county policy for overtime or comp time. Part of that reason is because they are on call alternating each month for, you know, if a law enforcement officer makes contact with a juvenile that's on runaway, they go to JCDC, they contact the on-call worker. So they get comp time for that. And then you look at days like today where we're gonna be working in the evening hours, they get comp. I'd say Ms. Cobb has enough comp time that if she wanted to take off now until eternity, she could probably do that, and the county would be footing that bill. And that's what Mr. Buchanan was saying, that she and Ms. Hilton are in violation of the comp time policy of the county. And basically, told me to tell them to start taking some time off.
There's always something else, that comes to my mind. Sheriff, how much how much money does it cost us to keep a prisoner in the jail per year?
Per year, I don't know, about $32 a day, that's for adults, down house juveniles.
Juvenile detention.
Right, and that's not what I'm getting at. $32 a day is what you said?
Somewhere in that area, housing.
Okay, so we're talking about $11,680 per year.
The problem that's costing my budget is my officers start way before daylight to go to JCDC to get people that he sent up there. And then, like tonight, they'll probably be there till at least 9 o'clock, and that takes me anywhere from 1 to 5 officers. Plus, if he sends anybody else the rest of the day to JCDC, I got to pay overtime to send that officer up there this evening and in the morning to go get them, so. But
Well, I guess the point I was trying to make is that
You want to know?
this, Daniel's, Judge Boyd's the one that sees it pretty much for, well, we're in a formal setting. You know, he's the first one to interact with these folks typically in the system. And if the programs that he could implement by being full-time and the assistance he could give our educational system basically to keep people going the right way. And I've seen him do it. I mean, I've seen him interact with it. You know, the money that we would eventually be talking about, we're not talking about it now, but the money we would eventually be talking about is probably saved in not having an adult go to jail, not having somebody in the education system disrupting all of that. In my mind, you have to look at this. This is first step. Go to the state legislature, get this approved by them, then it's got to be 2/3 vote by us. But this is the first step in actually spending money to make money, basically. Saving money in the long run. Just my opinion.
well, my office deals with his office every day,
Yeah.
5 days a week, but we deal with him 4 days of that week, just about every week. Like he said, where he's doing stuff for my officers or
And it's a 2-day week.
with children or whatever. And I've known this young man since he was a little boy, and I see him just about every day. And you can ask any of the officers or the attorneys that's known him for a while. This is taking a toll on him trying to serve 2 masters, and he can't do that. You can't give either one justice. And then with what we deal with the juveniles now, and the case that he's talking about, they need to be a full-time position.
I know you all have comments or questions. You're welcome to jump in.
I think it would be a lot easier if Judge Boyd, they went for 3 days, selling that $35,000 increase versus $115,000. The taxpayers that I represent is not in favor of that, and Daniel, I have to listen to them.
And may I ask who your taxpayers are that are giving you that information?
District 3, one end to the other.
I'm glad to meet with them and talk to them about what goes on in my court.
That's my job.
Well, and I can tell you that working 3 days a week, doing this, you might as well make it full-time, because no lawyer is gonna be able to practice law 2 days a week. It's hard enough doing it 3 days a week. And I understand your point, Commissioner Alves, and I respect you for that, but if a lawyer has to hold court, if a judge holds court 3 days a week, and let's say it's 3 days a week right now, and I hold court Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, that gives me Monday to practice law. Because most judges don't hold court on Friday. And no judge around here, and I have a good working relationship with our judiciary, going to accommodate my calendar just to schedule something on Friday.
It was one day up until '07. The commission approved it 2 days at Jay Teller's request, and it's been 2 days since then.
Correct.
That's why I said it would be a lot easier if you went with one additional day versus 3
And
days.
like I said, I understand that, but no lawyer can support a law practice practicing law 2 days a week.
But I represent District 3, and I've spoken to several taxpayers in that district, and I'm gonna listen to them, what they ask me.
Well, again, I'm more than happy to come to your district and meet with those folks and talk to them.
Well, you can start Saturday night at the Father's Church.
I'll be there.
Got Commissioner Barker in the audience has her hand up.
Something that I think we need to realize here, you know, we need to take personalities out of this, and we need to look at, you know, we can either service these children now, or like you said, we can service them when they turn 18 and they're in jail because we haven't had an intervention program, or we haven't had the opportunity to help a child to move forward before they get a record, you know, and then they get up, they can't hold a job. So, you know, when you're looking at that, what you're doing to the community long term, and then the other thing is, once again, we're not trying to, we're serving a position, not a person. And this needs to go to see if it will even pass at legislation and national before we start trying to work out details that are not even important right now.
Right.
But as Mr. Boyd said, or Judge Boyd, I'm sorry, it's new money,
Thank you.
that, you know, you gotta look at what the position holds. And, you know, you can't, I wouldn't work 3 days a week at one job and 2 days a week at another job, and I don't think anybody else would, and I don't think that you're gonna be able to hold somebody to that. And if you are, you're not gonna get the quality of judge that we need in that position.
Especially when there's no clean break between those
Exactly.
2 to 3 days.
And just like Daniel said, you know, there's a 6 degrees of separation of all of us in this community. So, you know, if he's gonna try to serve as an attorney, it's gonna be almost impossible to take a case because they're all gonna be intermingled with each other.
I stand where that earlier, you know, and what I said to Commissioner, you know, we're just trying to get stuff out of our way. It's okay. We may still be going through this when the next election comes, and you might not get elected. I have seen our commission go through some stuff for a very long time, and I've voted on both sides of it. So, I mean, like I said, you know, Judge Boyd, I hear everything you say, and, you know, and like I said, I hear taxpayers too, but anything that I can do to take the state out of our way and put it in our hands to where we as a community can make a decision on what we're gonna do and who we're gonna do it with and who we're gonna see to be full-time, part-time, and whatever else, I'm good to do.
Yes, sir.
I would say that the first time I heard Daniel Boyd speak, that he educated me of the need. And I think that that's been established, we do have the need. Now, the personality thing does never need to enter into it.
Right.
And as far as speaking to what Commissioner Alves said, I think for any constituent I would have that would approach this, I would have to tell them that we're not into this thing far enough to give full explanation of it. So what I'm saying is that I see the need, but I also feel that the reason we're sitting here is trying to get the state out of the way. Let's go one, the need, that's for me. Number two, let's get the state out of the way. And number three, let's address what we need to address. And that would be my recommendation.
Thank you,
For
Commissioner.
clarification, I'd like to correct you and Parker on the personality. There's not no
I
personality here.
didn't make any
Nor
accusation.
did I.
I just saying, doesn't matter who's sitting there. Doesn't matter who's sitting there. We need to look
Judge
at
Boyd,
this.
have you read the last page of the proposed change?
I had,
Take a look at that, see if that wording is kind of where we need to go with it. As taking yourself out of position, but putting yourself in the attorney position of, is that wording going to be accepted? I've got, assurances from, state legislature that it will go through however we want to put it. Because then it just gets bounced back to us for two-thirds ratification.
I mean, I feel damned, Judge Boyd.
And I know you're seeing these changes for the first time like we are. Is this something, even if you read it sitting there, is this something that you want to do right now, or you need to think about what you want to see or what you don't want to see, or?
I think, first, to answer Mr. DeWitt's question, yeah, I think the language, especially if section 7 is really what addresses that.
Correct.
That's appropriate, yes.
Okay.
To answer Mr. Fields' question, is that if it's something that happened over the course of time, then I'll take the necessary steps, if it's me, to show my law practice.
I'll make a motion, we'll go ahead and send this to the state and see what their answer is, and then we go from there.
Which one, Commissioner Eads, the suggested for the March 2020 meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Motion on the floor by Commissioner Edens that we proceed to the county commission with the attachment, the resolution and attachments as suggested in this packet. Second.
I'll second.
Got a second from Commissioner Bridwell. Any further discussion on that?
Again, you're 100% okay with the wording?
Yes.
Being no further discussion, Sarah, would you call the roll?
Mark DeWitt,
Yes.
Dawson Fields,
Yes.
George Bridwell,
Yes.
Danny Ellis,
No.
Bob Edens,
Yes.
Tom Kern.
Yes.
5 yeses.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'll put this together and get it submitted as a resolution for the March meeting. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the jury back there?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.